Should Rush continue? Let's talk about it. Alright, with Kiss playing their supposedly final show at Madison Square Garden a few nights ago and ending everything with giant holograms to show that they could keep going forever, we now are in a position of having Rush suggest that they aren't quite finished yet and that they may pick up another drummer and go out on tour. Is this a good idea? Well, before we get down into the nitty-gritty of talking about whether or not it's a good idea, there's a couple other questions that have to be sorted out. But before we go into those questions, I'd first like to remind you to like and subscribe to the channel so that you won't miss any videos. I update basically every day, and we got some really good polls going on over in the community forum, if you want to check those out as well, for best bands, best guitar players, things of this nature. All right, back to the topic at hand. Rush recently has been making some noise about getting back out on the road. There was an interview with CBS Sunday Morning News, and Geddy and Alex said they are definitely considering going back out there. They have talked about getting another drummer, and they are what you would characterize as optimistic about the chances of getting back out on the road. Now, in addition to the central question of whether or not it's a good idea to try to do Rush without Neil, there's the question of what exactly do they mean by continuing on? Do they mean recruiting another drummer and making a new record and then going out and touring? Or are they talking about getting somebody in just to do a few shows to celebrate the legacy? I think there's a big difference between those two questions. The second issue, of course, is who are they going to get to fill in for Neil Peart? And that is where it gets a bit dicier. If they were to choose someone like a famous personality like Stuart Copeland or Portnoy or somebody of this caliber, it would definitely seem like the right move. Of course, Portnoy could play everything that needs to be played, and I know that he's jammed live with Rush before. But the other route they could go is they could get somebody no one's even heard of. They could get a YouTuber, they could get an amateur from some Rush cover band, or they could get a budding young star. It's going to make a pretty big difference in my mind if which route they choose. If they go the route of getting an established drummer, someone that everybody already knows, then I would expect it to be just a little bit less interesting than if they got somebody that nobody has heard of. I think that they have an opportunity here to introduce a young musician to the world, or an unknown musician to the world, and that might be a bit exciting. But my feeling is they probably won't do that. They'll probably go with an old hand. They'll go with somebody that they already know and probably get along with. Anyway, on the other topic of what will they do when they get someone to fill in for Neil, are they going to make new material, or are they going to get out there and celebrate the old material? I'll bet they do make a new album. I'll bet they tour first to see how things go. And if things go well, they probably will put together a new album. And I think this is probably not the best idea. What would work best for Rush at this point, I think, is to get somebody in there, like I say, an unknown or a little known musician, plug him in there, go out and play some tribute shows for Neil and the legacy of Rush, and then call it a day. I don't think that there's much merit in getting a drummer in there who's been around for a while, and then playing some shows and then being together a new Rush album. There is no real Rush without Neil Peart, so if they wanted to get somebody in and make a new band, that would be much more acceptable to me than to plug a new drummer in and call it Rush, unless all they're going to do is go out and celebrate the old music. And if it's that, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a wonderful idea, because as much as passionate as I am about classic music and rock music and even pop music. It is almost a dying art form these days. There's still a lot of good music around, but it's not what it used to be. And the era from which Rush emerges is definitely fading fast. So if they can make it around, one more time, play some of the old songs, that's a great idea. But if they're trying to get together with the idea of putting together new material, calling it Rush, and moving on in that format, I think it's not such a good idea. So that's what I think. But what actually matters is what you think. So if you have an idea about this or any other issue connected to classic or contemporary music, please drop it in the section below. And remember to like and subscribe. Thanks a lot.